we've had quite a few stories out there. We're going to put the links on the screen here and in the description to some proven voter fraud that has taken place, with some people being prosecuted, and it even threatened to basically shut down an entire election. And if you don't think that could happen on a national scale, you're out of your goddamn mind. Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And today we're going over this whole goddamn Trump and the post office bullshit. Okay, you know, he did admit that he was leery on giving the post office more cash than usual due to the fact that he doesn't trust the mail-in fucking voting that the Democrats want to use. And frankly, I don't blame him. And here's why. This whole voting bullshit, you know, it stinks of desperation. This COVID shit's been going on for like 7 months now. And we are not getting crushed by this overwhelming wave of deaths. All right, it's just not happening. All right, now this whole 2-week lockdown to flatten the curve is now going on 6 months, and it's destroying this country, and it needs to stop. But I'm going to talk about that in another video. I'm just bringing it up now because they're using this panic and fear to basically try to steal an election and basically fuck over America. All right, now, I'm going to go through some facts here. Okay, number one, we have known for decades that the United States Postal Service is not efficient. Not by a long shot. And I don't believe it broke. I think the last time it broke even was somewhere in the 50s. You know, and then we had this the stamps going up in price and all services getting cut. I mean, it's bad. All right, now, typically, the post office loses an assload of cash. In fact, between 2007 and 2019, the post office has lost somewhere in the neighborhood of $78 billion. Now, when you get to that kind of money, you think it's accurate? I don't think it's accurate, but, you know, that's still a big number. Okay, so basically you could say that the post office has been hemorrhaging cash for decades. And these numbers come out of the U.S. budget. You can find it online. You know, and I also found it mentioned in a couple of old articles. I went in the Wayback Machine and looked them up before it was skewed by all the bullshit that's going on now. Number three. The United States Postal Service gets between $15 and $20 billion a year. Now, that number fluctuates depending upon the administration and the budget at the time. Okay. I believe Trump was and his administration are going to throw between $10 and $12 billion at the post office. When you look at the actual, numbers, I mean, that's in the ballpark of business as usual. All right, the Dems want to give them $25 billion, and it's probably not helping the fact that a lot of businesses are shut down and everyone's locked out in their homes, unnecessarily, I might add. Now, you have the combination of these three things here, which have caused the post office to do the following actions. Let's come down to 4. Because of the first 3, the United States Postal Service is looking to become more streamlined and efficient. And one of the main things they do is they move boxes around. Okay, if you haven't noticed lately, in the past, decade and a half, we've had whole malls shut down, Cities have, some of them have been crushed, especially the small rural cities. And those post offices and the mailboxes that support that community aren't getting the traffic and the amount of mail needed to make it economically viable, because you got to have people to go out there, take the mail out of the boxes, service the boxes, and so forth. So they move them around. Say you had a couple of mailboxes outside a big mall, and now that mall no longer is in existence and those boxes aren't used. They come in a truck, they pick the boxes up, they paint them, they go back to a yard, and then they determine where they'll be put, and if it is viable, they put them back out. Okay. They also have box cycle, removal. A box will sit in, at an area between 10 and 20 years if it's undamaged, and usually they pull it and they replace it. Okay, and a lot of this information, I know guys who work in the post office, and they've given me the skinny on how that shit works. Okay, now, in attempts to become more streamlined, they do something known as route consolidation. Okay, they take 2 or 3 routes, put it under one guy, and of course, when they're doing that, they're going to pull some of the boxes out because, one guy can only do so much shit. And they come in a truck, and they pick the box up, and they move it away. All right, and now the last one here, a lot of people, they really don't take this into consideration, but damage and vandalism. If they put a post office box in an area and it has been repeatedly damaged and or vandalized, they will remove it. Okay? It will be gone. They cannot afford that kind of loss and bullshit. They get rid of them. That's just the way it works. All right? And we're going to see a lot more of that in some of these riot-stricken cities. Not only is the population going away, but a lot of those post office boxes were set on fire. They had fireworks set off on them. They were used as garbage receptacles. They're probably going to go away. All right, number 5. During the Obama era, he targeted 3,750 post offices for termination. Basically shut them down. And he also proposed that the post office shrink by 12,000 jobs. You would think that's a lot of jobs, but in reality, it's a drop in the bucket, and we'll get to that on the second board. Okay, and I got this one here from the Washington Compost. I believe it was an article from 2011, and this one is from 2009. All right, between 1989 and 2009, 200,000 mailboxes were removed. Gone. All right? With 12 to 19,000 of these boxes falling during the administration of Obama. All right? So all of this crap that we're hearing about Trump pulling boxes and doing all this horse shit, it is a left-fueled conspiracy, and it has been nothing more than business as usual in regards to the post office and how shitty they've been run since basically the late 50s, early 60s. We're going over the next board here.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below.
We're going to show you a video in regards to how easy it is to tell the difference between a Republican and Democrat mail-in ballot.
You know how they give you these sleeves inside, and they tell you, oh, don't worry, your vote is going to be, protected. Nobody's going to know anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? That's bullshit. Now, there are people that probably know this, but I just found this out today. So I'm thinking, okay, I put my vote in, I did the protective sleeve and all that, and that's what the back looks like. But then when you turn it around, and I just want to, show you the comparison, look at my brother's, who's a Democrat. It says 4212D, that's Democrat. Then you go here, because we're both the same address anyway, 4212R. Okay, so your vote is supposed to be protected. Nobody's supposed to know what you're voting for, but yet they put R right here and D right there. So a postal person could see this if they're a Democrat and say, oh, that's an R. Let's toss it. Let's just chuck it.
We've had quite a few stories out there. We're going to put the links on the screen here and in the description to some proven voter fraud that has taken place, with some people being prosecuted, and it even threatened to basically shut down an entire election. And if you don't think that could happen on a national scale, you're out of your goddamn mind. All right, now the difference between an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot. All right, now listen, I got lots of comments and emails in regards to, absentee ballots are already legal. I don't see why everyone can't use them. Well, typically for an absentee ballot, you got to have a good reason, like illness, or you don't live in the area as much, but your residence is still in that area, or something of that ilk. Now, to get an absentee ballot, you have to request it and prove you are who you say you are. These mail-in ballots are being sent to everyone on the voter registration rolls of that state, even if you're dead or you don't even live in the state anymore, which happens all the time. So anyone can grab that ballot and fill it out and mail it in. And there is no checks or balances there. I thought that's what this country was about. But there's still more. Number 10, the cunt Pelosi is using fear and sympathy to push all of this. Now, I listened to her talking, and she basically states that, we have to give the money to the post office because people will not get their Social Security checks, despite the fact that those were required to be direct deposit 12 years ago. Or she brought up the people not getting their tax returns, which a large majority of them get direct deposit as well. Some people do get hard checks. It takes longer, and I understand why some people do that. I'm a fan of doing that myself, but I don't think we should compromise our entire voting system in regards to giving money to the post office. Last but not least, the Postal Union endorsed Biden. All right, so let that sink in for a moment here. The post office and all of the postal workers across the entire country make up 600,000 people. 600,000 people. And I believe they are all members, or they are mandatory members of the Postal Union. And since you saw the video and how you can tell the difference between the Republican and Democratic mail-in ballot, you simply look at the label. One will have a D, one will have an R. All right? And you have 600,000 people who are endorsing the candidate with the D. What do you think is going to happen to the R's? They're going to go in the circular file. All right? And it's happened before, and I fear it'll happen again. And it's not going to go well. All right? It's bullshit. I mean, just think about it. You got 600,000 people, all of these mail handlers, all of these post offices, and all of these sorting centers. All right? All of them finger fucking your mail. All right? I'm sure they have a machine that's going to go through and separate all the R's from the D's, and they'll go to like 2 different locations. I don't even know how that works. But how hard is it to take a truckload of the R's and get them shredded and turned to confetti and they just disappear? How hard do you think that'll be? I don't know. I'm just asking for a friend. I'm ashamed that, we have a disease out there with a 99.7 survival rate, and we're treating it like it's the Black Death or something, and it's not. I mean, it's, it is making people sick, and people are dying from it, but not by the millions that was projected, but more like, we're like, 100,000, 150,000 now. And there's actually evidence claiming that those are overestimated. There are countries out there who didn't lock down who are doing just fine. And there are a lot of countries out there using chloroquine, zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D, and they're doing just fine as well. So, my final word on this is simply this. If you can go to Walmart and buy your food, or go to a restaurant and sit down and eat, or go to one of these crazy-ass riot peaceful protests, you can fucking vote. You fucking crybaby pieces of shit.